In the late 17th century, the once mighty Ottoman Empire stood at a crossroads. For centuries, it had expanded its dominion across Europe, striking fear into the hearts of kings and emperors. But by 1697, the tide had begun to turn. The Battle of Zenta would become one of the most decisive battles in European history, marking the beginning of the Ottoman decline and reshaping the power dynamics of the continent. This is the story of that fateful day, the brilliant general who orchestrated an impossible victory, and the brutal consequences that followed. The Ottoman Empire's last stand in Europe. For centuries, the Ottoman war machine seemed unstoppable. Their empire stretched from the gates of Vienna to the deserts of Arabia, their armies vast, their sultans powerful. But by the late 1600s, cracks had begun to show. In 1683, the Ottomans suffered a catastrophic defeat at the Battle of Vienna. Their attempt to capture the Austrian capital was crushed, thanks in part to the heroic efforts of King John III Sobieski of Poland and the combined forces of the Holy League. In the years that followed, a series of conflicts, collectively known as the Great Turkish War, saw the Ottoman grip on Europe weaken. Despite these setbacks, Sultan Mustafa II was determined to restore Ottoman dominance. In 1697, he gathered an army of 100,000 men, launching a bold campaign to reclaim Hungary and push back against the Holy Roman Empire. Standing in his way was a young, underestimated general who would change the course of history. The rise of Prince Eugene of Savoy. Prince Eugene of Savoy was not the man most expected to lead the imperial army. Small in stature and often overlooked, he had been rejected from the French military by King Louis XIV. But appearances were deceiving. Eugene was a brilliant strategist, a master of warfare, and relentless in his pursuit of victory. At just 34 years old, he was given command of the imperial army, tasked with stopping the Ottoman advance. Though his forces were outnumbered nearly 2-1, Eugene knew that superior strategy could outweigh sheer numbers. When news arrived that the Ottoman army was preparing to cross the Tisa River near the town of Zenta, Eugene saw his chance. It was a perfect opportunity for an ambush, a gamble that could either crush the Ottoman war effort or lead to disaster. The Battle of Zenta, a perfect ambush. On September 11, 1697, the vast Ottoman army began crossing the Tisa River. Their forces were divided. Some had already reached the opposite bank, while others were still in the water. Their artillery and supplies sat exposed on the riverbank, unguarded. Eugene wasted no time. As soon as the Ottomans were vulnerable, he launched his assault. Austrian cannons roared, tearing through the Ottoman ranks. Chaos erupted as musket fire and cavalry charges tore into the trapped soldiers. The Ottoman pontoon bridges collapsed under the weight of the panicked retreat, sending thousands to their deaths in the river. The Sultan's elite janissaries, famed for their discipline, could do nothing. Within hours, the battlefield was a slaughterhouse. The Ottoman army had been completely shattered before it could even put up a proper fight. The aftermath, a crushing defeat. The results were catastrophic for the Ottoman Empire. Over 30,000 of their soldiers lay dead, drowned, or captured. The Grand Vizier, the empire's second most powerful man, was executed by his own troops in a desperate attempt to shift the blame for the disaster. Sultan Mustafa II, humiliated and broken, fled the battlefield, abandoning what remained of his once mighty army. In contrast, Eugene's forces suffered minimal losses, only 500 men. It was one of the most lopsided victories in military history. Why Zenta mattered, the end of Ottoman expansion. The Battle of Zenta did more than just end a military campaign. It marked the permanent decline of Ottoman power in Europe. The empire would never again launch a serious offensive against the Christian world. 2 years later, in 1699, the Ottomans were forced to sign the Treaty of Karlowitz, surrendering vast territories, including Hungary, Transylvania, and large parts of the Balkans. The Austrian Habsburgs emerged as the dominant power in Central Europe, while the Ottomans were forced into a defensive position that would last until their eventual collapse in the 20th century. Though often overshadowed by the Siege of Vienna in 1683, Zenta was arguably the battle that sealed the Ottoman fate. Vienna was the first major defeat. Zenta was the final blow. And at the heart of it all was Prince Eugene of Savoy, the man who turned a moment of weakness into one of the greatest victories in military history. A battle to remember. The Battle of Zenta stands as one of the most decisive battles in history, a perfect example of how strategy and timing can overcome overwhelming odds. It reshaped the map of Europe, ended Ottoman expansion, and elevated Prince Eugene of Savoy to legendary status. Yet, despite its significance, it remains one of history's forgotten battles. Now that you know this story, you can help keep history alive. Share this video, leave a comment with your thoughts, and subscribe for more deep dives into the past. History is full of battles, betrayals, and turning points. Join us as we uncover them all. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.